to show you how to make a recipe using my macros app that will include custom ingredients that maybe you have homemade. So what we're going to do is go into the My Macros app. And we're going to create a recipe. Now, for my example, I'm going to create a recipe for my homemade mayo. And my final serving is going to need to be in grams. So first what I'm going to do is add my first ingredient. If I don't have my ingredient in my database already, I'm going to want to press add custom ingredient, but since these ingredients are already in my custom and favorites, I'm going to press custom and favorites. And the two ingredients in my homemade mayonnaise are eggs and avocado oil. Custom and favorites. Save. All right, so for my homemade mayonnaise recipe, I use 220 grams of avocado oil and 43 grams of egg. So I also have other ingredients like garlic in there and some spices, which garlic does have macros, but it's very little. I didn't happen to weigh it out this time. And so once I made my mayonnaise with these ingredients, I weighed the mayonnaise. So one way that you can do this is by weighing the jar that you're going to make your mayonnaise in first and taking a note of that weight. And then after I make it, I'm going to throw that jar onto my scale and I can manually with a calculator subtract the weight of that jar to get my final weight of my product. So the final weight of my mayonnaise is 287 grams. And I'm going to save. And save. So now what I can do is go back into my homemade mayonnaise, which is right here. And I'm going to want to give a random value to see how much mayonnaise is in, what the macros are of my mayonnaise. So for example, I'm going to use 50 grams here. And I'm going to write down these ingredients or these macronutrients. So I'm going to want to write down 332 calories. 0.0 protein, 0.9 protein, and 36.5 grams fat. Okay, so I'm gonna just back out of this because I don't actually need this. And I'm gonna go out of recipes and I'm actually gonna go to the bottom here and add custom food. So I'm going to input my food name. So I'm going to call it homemade mayonnaise or homemade mayo. And I'm going to want to do 50 grams. And then take note of the calories, fat, no carbs, and 0.9 protein. And I'm going to save food. And I don't need to add this to my daily meal log, so I'm going to dismiss. And now, for example, if I want to make tuna fish using my homemade mayonnaise, I'm going to go into recipes. I'm going to create a new recipe. I'm going to name my recipe homemade, or I'm going to say tuna with mayo. Okay, so I am going to want to find my first ingredient. And now, since I entered my homemade mayonnaise as a custom ingredient. It should be in my custom and favorites list. So let's look for that. Oops. Yep, and here it is. I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to find my tuna. Oops. I'm going to want to go to custom and favorites. Tuna. In grams here, solid white tuna, albacore, in water. Save. So for my recipe, I used 234 grams of tuna and 44 grams of homemade mayonnaise. And then I weighed my final product, and my weight was 278 grams. And save. And now, oops, let's find our recipe. So we're looking for tuna with mayo. Now I can add this to my meal, weigh out whatever portion of tuna fish I'd like to eat. So for example, if I have 100 grams, you can see the calories, protein, fat, and carbs for my recipe. Thanks for following along. Good luck with using the app and making your own homemade recipes.